Just a minute. Okay, so today I will discuss about internal model control. In internal model control, obviously there will be a model inside the control loop. So let us see how it has been developed. Let's say we have a process G and I want to control the process using a controller Q. Now to reach y at y set point, ideally I should have Qs is equal to 1 by Gs. However, this G has some internal process dynamics. So if I put Qs is equal to 1 by Gs, then y will be ysps at each and every time instant. That means immediately y will try to become ysps. But because of the inherent process dynamics, that is not possible. So this will not allow output y to track ysp immediately. So what we can do is we can use some kind of a filter or a reference trajectory, which is basically define that how ys will behave with a change in ysps. So if I use ys by ysps as 1 by lambda s plus 1 to the power n, where lambda and n are basically the parameters to be tuned, then we can have a controller Qs is equal to 1 by Gs by 1 by lambda s plus 1 to the power n is equal to Fs by Gs. So 1 by lambda s plus 1 to the power n is basically, if I am telling it as a filter, then it will be Fs is the filter transfer function and the Qs will be Fs by Gs. Now here the Qs, when I'm defining Qs, in that case, the GS is a function of GS, which is a process model. And if I say GMS is basically the process model of the actual process G, then I can have this QS as Fs by GMS. So this will be my open loop control law. QS is equal to Fs by GMS. Now the second question comes when I am putting Fs by GMS, that means it requires the inversion of process model, inversion of process model. Now this Fs should be such, so you have got two things over here in this QS. One is this Fs, another is the GMS. Now Fs, which is a filter and should be chosen such that QS should not become improper. QS should not become improper and process dynamics characteristics are not violated. Like if you have a process with a first order process with time delay, and if you give a Fs as only a first order process like 1 by lambda s plus 1, then in that case, the process dynamics tells us that y cannot vary as 1 by lambda s plus 1 with ysps. It has to have a process delay with it. So in that case, if I put Fs as 1 by lambda s plus 1, then that will not be a proper filter transfer function for the first order with date time process. because that will then violate the process dynamic characteristics. Secondly, since inverse of GMS is required for the open loop control law, it should also be noted that it may not be always possible to get inverse of GMS. Like I told you, like first order with date time process. In that case, you have got e to the power minus theta s. Now, if I invert the e to the power minus theta s, it will become e to the power plus theta s. In a controller, if you have a e to the power plus theta s, which basically requires the future values of error, which is not possible. So that means that e to the power minus theta s is not an invertible portion of this GMS. So in that case, what we'll do is, if there are invertible and non-invertible portions, then we factorize the GMS to invertible and non-invertible portions. That means we put GM minus S and GM plus S, which defines the GM minus S is the invertible part and GM plus S is the non-invertible part. Once we factorize the GMS to an invertible and non-invertible part, then we find out the QS by inverting only the invertible part. So the open loop control law will be then QS is equal to Fs by GM minus S. GM minus S is the invertible part of the GM. So we put the open loop control law as QS is equal to Fs by GM minus S. The advantage of the open loop control is that open loop control is always stable if the process is stable. So you do not require any stability analysis when you are controlling a process using the open loop controller architecture. But there is another major disadvantage in this open loop control architecture. Till now, we have only considered the set point tracking. That means we have taken the transfer, we have chosen how Y will behave with the changes in the YSP. But what will happen to the disturbance? If there is a disturbance to the system, then how it can be handled? Till now, what we have designed, this open loop control law QS is equal to Fs by GM minus S, will not be able to handle the disturbance because we have not considered the disturbance in the systems. So the next thing is how to handle the disturbance. So the open loop control law discussed earlier cannot take care of the disturbance to the process. Say in the process, let's say we have got a disturbance D, which may be measured or unmeasured disturbance. Then in that case, this open loop control law will not be able to handle the disturbance. Then Y will be moved away from the YSP, Y set point, if there is a disturbance to the system. This can be taken care of if I use the process model. Let's say, let me take the laser printed. Okay. So let's say we have the GM, which is the estimated process model for the process G, and we use this estimated process model GM to get the YM. And if I subtract Y with YM, then we'll have an estimate of the disturbance in the system. We'll have the estimate of the disturbance of the system. Then we'll use this estimate of disturbance to the system to build the YSP, and then this Q should be able to handle the disturbance. Because now that in this loop, the disturbance is now taken care of. So here, basically using the process model, we estimate what is the disturbance. Accordingly, we change the set point, which we change the set point to the controller so that the disturbance can be taken care of. So here basically disturbance is estimated internally using a process model over here. The architecture over here, this architecture over here is called the internal model control structure. This architecture over here or this structure over here is called the internal model control structure. Okay, this is called an internal model control structure. Now, from the open loop control structure, from the open loop control architecture, now we have converted this to an internal model control structure, which now take care of the disturbance also. Now, if you try to write down the equations for this internal model control structure, then we'll have these IMC equations of this form. Ys will be given by Ys will be Gs Qs plus 1 plus Qs Gs minus GMS Ysps plus 1 minus GMS Qs 1 plus Qs Gs minus GMS ds. Now, in this IMC equation, if I put Gs is equal to 1 by Qs is equal to 1 by GMS, because Gs is not known to me, but I have the information of Gn. So the process model I have, so I put like open loop control, I put Qs is equal to 1 by GMS. Now, if I put Qs is equal to 1 by GMS as a control law, where Qs is the IFC controller, then in that case you can see for the set point changes, if I put Qs is equal to 1 by GMS, then Ys will be equals to Ysps. Ys will be equals to Ysps, because this will be Q1 by GMS, so Gs by GMS. Here also this portion will become 1 will cancel, and this will become Gs by GMS. So this will become 1, so Ys will be equals to Ysps. Similarly, since Qs is equal to 1 by GMS, so this will become 0. So the effect of disturbance will become 0 on the Ys. So the controller equations ideally will be Qs will be equals to 1 by GMS. So I can say this ideal IMC control law Qs is equal to 1 by GMS ensures both servo and regulatory control in spite of process model mismatch and the presence of disturbance. In spite of process model mismatch and the presence of disturbance. However, in actual practice, design of the IMC control law is same as the earlier used for open loop control. In case of open loop control, what we have done, we have that Qs is equal to 1 by GMS, but we take GM as invertible and non-invertible part, as well as the Qs we have put a Fs by GMS. We put Fs by GMS, and if I take the invertible part of the GMS only, then it will be Fs by Gm minus S. So thus, in actual practice now, the design of IMC control law is same as the earlier used for the open loop control. Now here you can see one thing. This is again a open loop control architecture. The IMC control architecture is again open loop control architecture, because the control law is remaining same. The control law is remaining same, and if GS is equal to GMS, then it is become an open loop control architecture. So we can say what will be the IMC design procedure. In case of IMC design procedure, what we can do is we can factorize the process model into invertible and non-invertible component. So we take GMS is equal to Gm minus S plus Gm plus S. Then we form the idealized IMC controller, which will be Qys is equal to 1 by Gm minus S, using the invertible component of the process model. Then we use a filter Fs equal to 1 by lambda S plus 1 to the power n to make the controller at least the semi-proper. Semi-proper basically means that the numerator and denominator order of the numerator and denominator transfer polynomial should be at least equals to same. The strictly proper transfer function, rational transfer function, is where the denominator order of the denominator polynomial is greater than the order of the numerator polynomial. Here we are basically make at least semi-proper. That means the order of fs and order of gm minus s should be same. And next we'll vary lambda. Fs will be 1 by lambda s plus 1 to the power n. And now we vary lambda to vary the speed of response of the control system. So this is basically the IMC design procedure for the internal model controller. Let us take example. The first example, let us take this FODT process or first order with date time process. So we consider this process as 1 by 10s plus 1 e to the power minus 3s. We assume there is no process model mismatch, so we take GMS is equal to GS, and we use the IMC design steps, which means we factorize GM to invertible and non-invertible parts. Here non-invertible part is e to the power minus 3s and invertible part is 1 by 10s plus 1. So GM minus s, which is the invertible part, is 1 by 10s plus 1, and the non-invertible part is e to the power minus 3s. So idealized IMC will be Q by S will be 10 invertible 1 by GM minus S, which will be 10s plus 1. And the IMC will be QS by QIS into FS. We are making this one at least semi-proper, then 10s plus 1 by lambda S plus 1. So QS here is the semi-proper, 10s plus 1 by lambda S plus 1. So the control response will be Ys is equal to Gm plus S Fs Ys Ps. The control response will be Gm plus S Fs Ys Ps e to the power minus 3s by lambda S plus 1 into Ys Ps. Okay, is it clear to you? The second example I will take, which is basically a second order process with right hand plane 0. So here we have taken right hand plane 0 is my S is equal to at 1 by 9. So 0 is at 1 by 9. So we have taken a process which is at minus 9s plus 1 by 15s plus 1 plus into 3s plus 1. So it's basically a two-pole 1 0 process where the 0 is lying on the right hand plane. Again, we assume there is no process model mismatch, and we use the IMC design steps where we factorize the GM to invertible and non-invertible parts. Here basically non-invertible part will be minus 9s plus 1, because if I build a controller by inverting this process, which means in the controller one of the pole will be in the right hand plane, because QS will be 1 by GS, then 1 by GMS, and then one of the pole, this 0 right hand plane 0 will become a right hand plane pole for the QS or for the controller transfer function. Then the controller will become unstable. So obviously this right hand plane 0 will be the non-invertible part. So I factorize the GM to invertible and non-invertible part. So GM will be 9s plus 1, 15s plus 1, 3s plus 1, and GM plus S is minus 9s plus 1 and plus 9s plus 1. So here I can do it in two ways. One way is I can take GM minus S as 1 by 15s plus 1 by 3s plus 1 and GM plus S as minus 9s plus 1. Or we can take GM minus S as this 9s plus 1, 15s plus 1, 3s plus 1, and GM plus S is minus 9s plus 1 and 9s by 9s plus 1. Okay. So for the first case, your filter will be second order. In this case, your filter will be first order. Idealized IMC will be 15s plus 1, 3s plus 1 by 9s plus 1. And IMC controller QS will be QIS into FS will be 15s plus 1, 3s plus 1 by 9s plus 1 into 1 by lambda s plus 1. Okay. If you have taken this GM plus 1 is only minus 9s plus 1, and this one is 1 by 15s plus 1, 3s plus 1, then it will become 1 by lambda s plus 1 square. Okay. The control response will be in this form, ys is equal to minus 9s plus 1, 9s plus 1, lambda s plus 1 by SPS. The advantage over here is, in this case, the control response or the controller has only one tuning parameter, which is lambda. So this is basically the IMC controller. Now here you can see this IMC controller form can be anything. It's basically a ratio of two polynomials, and it can be converted to a PID controller or may not be converted to a conventional PID controller. But since most of our design are based on the conventional PID controller, so the next thing is, let us try to find out whether this IMC controller can be converted to a PID controller, which means this internal model control architecture can I convert to a feedback control architecture. Let us see. So this is basically our IMC structure. This is basically IMC structure where GM is the process model which is used to find out or estimate the disturbance. Now in this architecture, this process model, the link of this process model or this YM, which is basically subtracted from the Y. Now this YM, if I move it over here, this link, if I move it over here, since this is minus, so this will be this minus and minus will become plus, and this will become plus over here. So this sum junction, now if I move it over here and cross it, this sum junction, and if I put it over here, so then this minus, ym minus, now it will be added over here. So this will be added over here. Now this one is basically, I can say is the controller GC. This block I can say equivalently is a feedback controller, and the overall structure will become a feedback structure. So this way I can convert from an IMC structure to a feedback structure. So if I can convert from IMC structure to feedback structure, then obviously I can convert the IMC controller to a PID controller. So here we can see from this block diagram itself, I can relate the Q with GC. I can relate Q with GC, where GC is the feedback controller. The Q and GC and Q will be related from here, from this block diagram, which will be Q by 1 minus Q into GM. So from there, I can equivalent feedback block diagram, we can relate GCS as QS by 1 minus QS into GMS, where GCS is the feedback controller or a PID controller. This let's say that is a conventional PID controller. Now let us see how we can implement in a first order process. For a first order process, we have K by tau s plus 1. And for the IMC controllers, it's a GS and GMS is basically, all the components are invertible components. So IMC controller will be QS equals to tau s plus 1 by k lambda s plus 1. So the equivalent PID controller, will be GCS QS by 1 minus QS GMS, which will be given by tau s plus 1 by k lambda s plus 1 by 1 minus k tau s plus 1 tau s plus 1 by k lambda s plus 1. From this equation, then I will get tau s plus 1 by k lambda s. So the GC now I can write in form of a PI controller tau by k lambda 1 plus 1 by tau s, where the KC is tau by k lambda and tau I is equal to tau. These equations, this form of equations which resembles the direct synthesis approach which we have taken earlier, which we have studied earlier, right? So in the direct synthesis approach, we have taken a reference trajectory as 1 by tau Cs plus 1. Here we have got the reference trajectory of 1 by lambda s plus 1. And tau by k lambda, tau I is equal to tau. And so you have got only one tuning parameter lambda, which basically decides the proportional action. And tau I integral time constant is same as the process time constant. If I take a second order process, let's say. So in that case, in the IMC controller, QS is equal to tau s plus 1, tau 2s plus 1 into k into lambda s plus 1. Here we have not taken lambda s plus 1 square. If I have taken lambda s plus 1 square, then it will become semi-proper. Normally, if I use IMC controller, then it should have been lambda s plus 1 square. But our objective is to convert to a PID controller. So what we have done is here we allow QS to become improper controller. So we have taken lambda s plus 1 so that we get an ideal PID controller. So we'll get GCS will be QS by 1 minus GMS into QS, which gives us GCS as tau 1 tau 2 s square plus tau 1 tau 2 s plus 1 by k lambda s, which can be written as a conventional PID controller form, where the gain will be given by tau 1 plus tau 2 by k lambda, 1 plus 1 by tau 1 plus tau 2, which is the integral time constant, and tau 1 tau 2 by tau 1 plus tau 2 is the derivative time constant. Okay. Is there any questions? Hello.
Yes, sir, can you explain the conversion once again, the IMC to feedback?
IMC to feed. So let me go back to that this from here.
Yes, sir. This how this conversion happened? Can you?
Okay, so this is basically your IMC based PID controller. This is the architecture that you have understood. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now here, this junction, if I move it here, this junction, if I move it here, that means this YM, I am moving it here and I'm crossing this junction and put it over here, which means YM here is negative, right? Now, up to this portion, YM will be negative. So this one, putting it over here and putting it over here is same thing. Clear?
Yes, sir. I got it. Got it. Yes, sir.
Now this YM, if I put it minus over here, so minus will become plus. So yes, now this YM will be added over here. Instead of subtracting YM, now I will add YM over here. And this will become a PID controller. Is it clear to you now?
Yes, sir. Now it is clear.
Okay. And then that equation will be, obviously the equation will be QS by 1 minus QS GMS, because now this is a feed forward. This is a feed forward. So the for the second order process, here basically what we have done, this IMC controller we have taken deliberately as an improper IMC controller, so that we can reach to a ideal PID controller. So we put these equations over here, and then we get the GCS as this equation, where the proportional controller will be tau1 plus tau2 k lambda. The tuning parameter is only lambda over here, which is the filter time constant. Next, we'll take the first order with date time process. Now, for a first order with date time process also, here you have got the invertible and non-invertible part. So non-invertible part will be e to the power minus theta s. So we'll take only the invertible part. That means the k by tau s plus 1. And based on that, we design the IMC controller QS, which will be tau s plus 1 by k lambda s plus 1. And then we find out the equivalent PID GC, which will be tau s plus 1 by k lambda s plus 1 e to the power minus theta s. Okay. Now this this is not a conventional PID form. So what we can do is e to the power minus theta s we can approximate. E to the power minus theta means I can approximate either as the first order Taylor series approximation or a second order Taylor series approximation. So if I take a first order Taylor series approximation, which means e to the power minus theta s is equal to 1 minus theta s, then my GCS will be tau s plus 1 by k lambda plus theta s. Okay, and it will be a PI controller, tau by k theta plus lambda 1 plus 1 by tau s. So this will be my PI controller if I take e to the first order Taylor series approximation of e to the power minus theta s. If I take a second order Taylor series approximation, so e to the power minus theta s I write 1 minus theta by 2s by 1 plus theta by 2s. Then my GS will be this form, k minus 1 minus 0.5 theta s, tau s plus 1, 1 plus 0.5 theta s. Okay. Here I take QS as tau s plus 1, 1 plus 0.5 theta s by k lambda s plus 1. So I take QS as this one. So invertible portions I will take k by tau s plus 1, 1 plus 0.5 theta s. So QS I will take as this. So from here I can have an equivalent PID controller GCS, QS1 minus GMS QS. And from here I will get the GCS, which is of this form, of a conventional PID controller form, where the controller gain will be given by tau plus 0.5 theta by k lambda plus 0.5 theta. And then integral time constant is tau plus 0.5 theta. And the derivative time constant will be tau theta by twice tau plus theta. So based on that, we can have a PID controller, IMC based PID controller. The advantage is in this IMC based PID controller design that you have got only one tuning parameter, which is the filter time constant or the lambda. So in a similar fashion, we can have a PID controller design based on the using IM internal model control architecture for different processes. Here I have given a table for that. Say I am using GCS controller transfer function as KCS 1 by 1 plus 1 by tau is plus tau ds, which is a ideal PID controller, multiplied with a filter time constant 1 by tau s plus 1. So if I take Kp by tau p s plus 1, which we have done already, if I am taking 1 by lambda s plus 1, then I have got a Kc is tau p Kp lambda and tau I is with tau p. For the same thing, if I take another filter gamma s plus 1 by lambda s plus 1 square, we are using this filter gamma s plus 1 by lambda s plus 1 square because one of the drawback of the internal model controller based PID controller design is that it has got poor disturbance rejection. It's a very good set point solver control problem or set point tracking property, but poor disturbance rejection property. So we can improve the disturbance rejection property by using a filter of in this form, gamma s plus 1 by lambda s plus 1 square. If I use a filter like this, then for the first order process, we can see the Kc will be given by this expression twice tau p minus lambda by Kp lambda and twice tau p lambda minus lambda square by tau p. So this basically you can do, this can be your homework. So if I, for a first order process, if I use a gamma s plus 1 by lambda s plus 1 square as my filter, then I can reach Kc and tau phi value of this one. So you can work out yourself and find out this value. In fact, for all the cases, you can work out yourself and try to find out the PID controller equations. Like for this case, I have used 1 by lambda s plus 1. So which means controller is improper, the IMC controller is improper, and I get a PID controller equations. If I make the IMC controller semi-proper, which means 1 by lambda s plus 1 square, if I use 1 by lambda s plus 1 square, then in that case my IMC controller will be semi-proper because both the numerator and denominator polynomial order will be same. Then we'll have a PID controller along with a filter. So tau f will be lambda by 2. So we'll have a PID controller along with a filter. Also, we have got a process which is, we have a right hand plane 0, So if I use a filter like this, then we'll have a PID equations with 1 by tau f plus 1. If I have a filter like this, then we will have a pure PID equations. Here also we have got an integrating process. In case of an integrating process, we'll have in one case, if I use a filter 1 by lambda s plus 1, then for the integrating process, we use only a proportional controller. But if I use a which has got a very good servo control property, but the disturbance rejections will be poor. So we use a filter function of 2 lambda s plus 1 by lambda s plus 1 square. Then in this case, for KYS, we have got a PI controller which have got a very good disturbance rejection capability also. Similarly, we have got another transfer function with the first order and the integrating KYS tau s plus 1, and we have got it. If I use a filter 1 by lambda s plus 1, then ideally a proportional derivative controller will be suffice to control the process. However, this proportional derivative controller will not be capable of rejecting the disturbance properly. So to do that, we use a different kind of filter function 2 lambda s plus 1 by lambda s plus 1 square, and then we'll have a controller which is capable of both set point and disturbance rejection. Okay. Let us see for the first order with for the time delay processes. So you'll have a first order with time delay processes where we will have the case of tau and tau d, and also integrating process augmented with delay, integrator with delay process. So in that case also we can have a either PI controller or PID controller depending on the filter we have used. Okay, So this basically you do it yourselves as your homework. You can do it yourself and find out for these cases, knowing what are the filter is used over here, and for all these cases, based on this filter, you can find out and see how you are arriving these controller parameters. Okay. For all these cases, we have not taken a process which is an unstable process. Normally, since IMC is designed as an open loop control process, so one of the condition is for an open loop control process that the original process should be a stable process. For the open loop control architecture should be stable. And since IMC control architecture is derived from the open loop control architecture, so the IMC control process is also stable if the open loop process is stable. So the challenge is, can we derive a PID controller based on IMC architecture for an unstable process? So for an IMC based PID for unstable process, because for a feedback control process, we can easily control a unstable process using a PID controller. But can I tune that PID controller using this IMC based architecture? So we can find the IMC controller transfer function QS, which includes a filter to make QS semi-proper. Now, an additional requirement is that the value of Fs at S is equal to PU. PU is basically the unstable pole, where PU is an unstable pole, must be equals to 1. The filter transfer function should be Fs should be gamma S plus 1 by lambda S plus 1 to the power n. So Morari and Jafariu first derived this methodology where they have tried this one, and they put that if you take the filter transfer function Fs equal to gamma S plus 1 by lambda S plus 1 to the power n, then you can design a PID controller based on IMC for controlling an unstable process. Here the gamma can be found out from this requirement that F S PU will be equals to 1. So S is equal to PU should be equals to 1. And from there I find out the gamma, and then I find out that GCS will be QS by 1 minus GMS QS. Okay, so this is basically the methodology for IMC based PID for unstable process. Let us take one example. So let us take the first order process, which is an unstable first order process. So GS is equal to K by minus tau S plus 1. So I put IMC controller minus tau S plus 1 K gamma S plus 1 by lambda S plus 1 square, because I'm making it a semi-proper. So the order of the numerator and denominator polynomials are remaining same. Now I solve for gamma, so that F S is equal to 1 by tau. Here PU is 1 by tau, so S is equal to 1 by tau equals to 1. So if I put these equations over here, in place of S I put 1 by tau, so I get this equation, and from this equation I find out gamma. Gamma is equal to lambda into lambda by tau plus 2. Now I put GC is equal to QS by this one is equal to gamma by K into twice lambda minus gamma into the gamma S plus 1 by gamma S, and I get Kc is equal to this equation minus lambda plus 2 tau plus K gamma, and tau I will be gamma equals to lambda by lambda tau plus 2. So from this I can find out, I get a PI controller equations which can control an unstable process, Okay, based on the IMC PID architecture. Okay, here basically that IMC PID architecture, that means the PID what we are getting based on the IMC structure have got only one tuning parameter, which is the lambda. So how do we select the lambda? So this lambda is basically the design parameter, which is the key decision variables in the IMC design method. In general, we know that if lambda produces more conservative controller because Kc decreases while lambda increases. From here, basically, you can see as lambda increases, Kc decreases. So several IMC guidelines for lambda have been published for the FODT model. Like Rivera, they have published that they have for a first order with date time model. Rivera said in 1986 that the lambda by theta should be greater than 0.8 and lambda should be greater than 0.1 tau. So they have put two conditions. One is lambda should be greater than 0.1 tau and another is lambda by theta should be greater than 0.8. Chien and Frohoff basically in 1990, they said that lambda should be between tau and theta. Lambda should be between tau and theta. Kojestad in 2003 found out that lambda should be equals to the theta. Lambda should be equals to the theta. So these guidelines are basically for a first order with date time process. But another problem with the first order with date time process is that this can be a lag dominant model. That means theta by tau may be very less. So for a first order or second order model with relatively small time delays, so theta by tau is very less, then these are basically called the lag dominant model. That means the tau is dominant over here compared to the theta. For these processes, internal model control as well as the direct synthesis approach will give you a satisfactory set point response. But the disturbance rejection will be very slow because the tau I is very large. So fortunately, this problem can be solved in three different ways. So first method is that we first order date time model we approximate as an integrator with the date time model, integrator with date time model. So k by tau s plus 1 can be represented by k by s e to the power minus theta s, where this k star is basically is taken as k by tau. So we convert ds to a k star by s, where k star will be k by tau. And then we use the IMC tuning rule to specify the controller setting. So we have the tuning rule of k integrator with delay. For that, we use the IMC tuning rule and use that one. The second method is we limit the value of the tau I. Because for a IMC design, we find that tau I is equal to tau. And most of the cases, if it is a second order process, then the tau I is greater than tau. So for most of the cases, we find tau I is either equals to tau or greater than tau. So as a remedy, Kojestad basically proposed that we limit the value of tau I by this. So we take minimum of tau I or 4 plus lambda, 4 times of lambda plus theta. 4 times of lambda plus theta, where this tau I will be the largest time constant if there are two time constants available. So we'll take, based on this, we can limit the values of the tau I based on these. And most of the cases, the limiting value will be 4 times of lambda plus theta because the tau I will be greater than this value. And this third method is basically used for the direct synthesis approach, not for a IMC PID. For a direct synthesis approach, we have used y set point to find out the GC. For a direct synthesis approach, we use the y set point as a desired reference trajectory response. But then here basically in the method 3 we can use y by d as the desired reference trajectory, desired disturbance trajectory response to design the controller. So instead of y by YSP, we put y by d desired and we find out the controller transfer functions. This basically you will find a paper written by Chen and Sebok in 2002. So in that paper you will get the details of these derivations. Okay, so these are the three methods. Based on that, we can take care of the lag dominant process. We'll take one example over here. We'll take a lag dominant process as GS equal to 100 by 100s plus 1 to the minus s. So you can see theta by tau is 0.01. And we design a 4PI controller based on IMC. Tau C will take 1. IMC tau C is equal to 2 based on integrated approximation. That means it will be K by S, it will become K by S, it will be minus theta S. IMC tau C is equal to 1 with Colchester's modification. And the direct synthesis method for disturbance rejection. So if you use this method, the controller settings will become Kc is equal to 0.551 and tau I is equal to 4.91. So if I do that, then we get this method. IMC will be 0.500, integrated as a 0.5565, Colchester relationship will give 0.58, and this direct synthesis method based on the disturbance rejection will give you 0.551, 4.91. If we implement this controller on that process, then what we'll get for the Chen and Sebok, we'll get this one, which will give a lot of overshoot for the servo tracking. So this is basically servo tracking response. This is the disturbance rejection response. You can easily see the servo tracking response for the IMC controller is based over here, whereas the disturbance rejection for the IMC controller is pretty poor. Whereas for the Colchester, the performance is acceptable for both servo tracking and the disturbance rejection, where the integrated approximation and the Chen and Sebok responses are more or less same because the PI controller over here integrated expression is the 0.556 and 5, and for Chen and Sebok method it is 0.551 and 4.91. So the PI controller values are more or less same. So the responses are also more or less same over here. So the disturbance rejection is efficient over here for both Chen and Sebok and the integrated approximation. But in this case, your servo control will have a lot of overshoot in the output response. So this basically this simulated response for the process, and normally we should take based on this simulation that which method or which tuning we have to choose. Okay, so I'll stop here. So this is basically in essence the IMC controller. This is in essence the IMC controller. I stop here. Only thing I want you to solve the same problem over here. I want you to solve the same problem over here by using this IMC, using the IMC with a disturbance rejection filter. We have used the disturbance rejection filter earlier. Yeah. Over here. So if I use the disturbance rejection filter, if we use the disturbance rejection filter, then what will happen? Okay. So that also we can try over here. Like for this one, we can try this. We have used this one. We can try this one. how the result will vary. So we can play with that examples. We can use different type of filter and see how the responses changes. Okay, so I'll stop here. So in the next class, I will complete this controller part. That means the feedback controller part by discussing the finding out the PID controller parameter using optimization method as well as using the frequency response analysis. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I have a doubt from the assignment which you gave. Sir, in the second question, by using the moments method, sir, I got a negative dead time.
You got in
Yes, sir.
negative
I'm also
dead
getting
time.
negative.
You are getting negative dead time.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
I'm also getting
sir.
a
Yes,
negative
sir.
dead
On
time, sir.
using method of moments method, we are getting a negative dead time. But
Yes, sir.
like if we just approximate like all the
Yes.
smaller values and get a like the standard method that we were taught in the BTech course.
Hello.
That way we were getting a positive dead time. So both the dead time.
No, in the between your voice dropped off. Please tell me again, Saptarshi.
Yes, sir. Sir, if we are like using the method of moments, using that we will get a negative dead time. All of
Okay.
us have tried and we are getting a negative dead time. But like in the standard method for FOPDT system that we were taught in our BTech course, in using that, if we approximate, we will get a positive dead time.
Okay, fine. You give your answer. Let me check. Okay. So for other methods, you are getting positive dead time. Because
Yes,
there are
sir.
4 methods who are there. So in other methods, you are getting positive dead time.
And sir, I had another question. Very few of us have any idea about the TFEST function. So it will be a little bit helpful for us if you like give us some material to study about it.
No, do you have a MATLAB?
Yes, sir, I have MATLAB.
So in the MATLAB, you will give in the help. Then it will give details all there.
But sir, it is asking to accept some ID data data type. Like we have to give an input in ID data form. So we don't.
ID data form is pretty simple. You take help on ID data. So in ID data, you have to give time data for the time data for the Y and data for the U. That's all. Okay, I will give you I'll give you an example.
Sir, I wanted to ask something also that we are given in the assignment instruction that we have to write the commands which we have used in MATLAB. Do we have to provide the entire like script with our submission, or can we provide like?
No, you can provide. If you have done the whole problem, if you have solved the problem using MATLAB, then you provide the script.
Okay. Sir, because that is why, like, suppose I have to do a Ziegler-Nichols method, then I cannot do inflection method in my notebook or graph paper. That will be too hefty. So,
so you have done it using MATLAB.
Yes, sir. So,
okay, fine, no problem. So we have to give the script. See, I put it that way. So somebody may have done it by hand. So if they put it in hand, so then they give the PDF of this thing, that graph and all these things, calculations. And if you are doing in the MATLAB, then you provide the script.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
Sir, so the negative dead time that I got with this methods of movement, so shall I submit that itself? Like
You submit that itself. You submit that itself. You submit that. I'll give you this, and I'll check it. because I have not done the solution, so I have to do the solution and I have to find out whether whether really a negative dead time or there is anything else. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, then I'm ending the meeting here. Thank you very much.